hopefully everyone can hear us, see us. This has been quite an experience today. Thanks for sticking with us. It's basically been a chat room up until this point, but now we can actually get with the video part. I just want to double check here that we're live. We are. Yes. Oh, what a day.
Awesome.
What a day.
Yeah, and you can hear us. Okay,
Yay.
so hello, welcome. Hopefully we'll have the bugs worked out for our future broadcast. This has been like the hardest start of all the ones I've ever done in the last 3 years. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in and joining us. We went through a whole intro, but you guys couldn't even see it, so we'll do this again. We are the Office of Future Engineers at Purdue. This is the first broadcast of spring for Purdue Engineering Live. These are solely for students admitted to Purdue Engineering for fall 2020 and their families. So thanks for joining us. The whole theme of this broadcast is basically just celebrating with you and helping you with any questions you want to know about this at this stage in the process. You might have seen that you're admitted to first year engineering and you're a little confused about what that means, so we'll talk about that. You've been sending in a lot of questions already. This is supposed to be just a very super casual kind of chit chat with all of our students and staff here. So my name is Ari Swartz. I'm the Assistant Director for the Office of Future Engineers. I'm joined by 3 others. I'll have them introduce themselves as well.
Hi, everybody. Congratulations on your admissions. We're really excited that you're considering Purdue. We're coming from you at the Neil Armstrong Hall of Engineering here, which is super cool. I'm David Boker. I'm the Director of the Office of Future Engineers.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Severson. I'm a junior here at Purdue studying industrial engineering. Things I'm involved in here on campus, I'm part of the Engineering Student Council here, and then I also like to do a lot with the Women in Engineering program and mentoring young girls in STEM through some clubs that I'm in.
Yeah, hello, my name's Elizabeth. I am a junior in chemical engineering. I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee, and on campus I'm a resident assistant. I play on Purdue Club softball, I do intramural sports, and I am also a part of paint crew, and also do research within chemical engineering.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we got in-state, out-of-state for
Yeah.
those different questions.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So I think
Deb said some
Deb said something.
volume.
Turn up the volume. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Hang on.
We're turning up the volume a
Yeah,
little
turn
bit.
it up.
So hopefully you guys can hear us a little bit
See if
better.
that helps. Let us know if that's better.
Yeah.
Pump up the volume.
So I think for the first thing, and I've seen a couple of questions about this already, let's talk about first year engineering. What is that? So first of all, that's where everyone starts for their freshman year here at Purdue. So when you applied, the actual major you selected was first year engineering. We asked, this is I think where a lot of the confusion comes in, we also ask what your intended major is. So that's where you can choose like mechanical engineering or aeronautical. But that's just for us to kind of gauge interest and see what our students are looking at and to see how many of them end up in those majors their sophomore years. But you're actually admitted to first year engineering, which is where everyone starts. So does one of you guys want to talk about what it is?
Your experience.
So first year engineering, I see it as 2 different parts. One is getting a lot of those core classes that you'll need for whatever engineering major you go into. And then the second part of it is kind of that career major exploration piece. So with those classes aspect, you're going to get a lot of those basic classes like your physics, your chemistries, your math, those types of things that any major would require anyway. And then you're also going to get a lot of engineering project and team-based experiences in your engineering class, whichever route you go for that. You're going to be put in a team and you're going to be working on a project that you would work on in the real world as an engineer right in your first year here at Purdue. So you're going to learn the skills to do that. You're going to learn the technical skills. You're going to learn the teamwork skills, that sort of thing. The other side of first year engineering is making sure that you're finding the major that best fits what you want to do. So personally, I actually knew I wanted to do industrial engineering coming into school, so I was a little nervous about the first year engineering program. But it was really a great opportunity because I got to see what all the other majors were and make sure that industrial engineering actually was what I wanted it to be. And so that first year engineering program really just made me more excited because I learned that some of the things that I wanted to do with the major I chose were actually possible by talking to the people in other majors and being like, oh, what do you do? Oh, what do you not do? Is this the right fit for me? So even if you feel like you already know what you want to do, it's still a really valuable experience regardless. And then if you don't know what you want to do, you have a lot of opportunities to learn as much as you can in your classes and through outside going to talk with organizations and going to talk with faculty and other presentations you get to see through the first year engineering program.
Did you know? Chemical? Or?
I did know I wanted to do chemical, but I actually was in between chemical and biological for a time. And actually having those resources during the first year engineering and being able to go talk to a student in biological engineering, a student in chemical engineering, and seeing the different career choices I can go with that and the different classes I would be taking was really nice. And I also think one of the reasons why I chose Purdue was for the first year engineering program because of their teamwork aspect of working on teams. You do a lot of team-based projects, you do a lot of your homework together, even some of your tests are in with teams, and I just really enjoy that collaborative environment. And just also you're going to be put in a team usually from people, there's usually going to be someone from in-state, someone from out-of-state, and an international student, so you're really getting that diverse group of people who you're working with. And again, you're working on really cool projects, and you also, it's really important that first year to get those fundamental ideas of engineering, because you're going to take those into your particular career or particular major. So such as like data manipulation, like it's very important to be able to read and understand data. Learning what goes into a decision matrix, what does your problem even mean? And you'll learn all that during first year engineering.
Nice. So we had a question too about, so what does like the first semester class schedule look like? And that's really going to depend on what you're bringing in from high school. But in general, it's going to always be the same categories of a math class, of calculus 1 or higher, depending on any credits you might bring in, a science class. I think, did you guys take chemistry or physics your first semester?
I took chemistry.
I took chemistry
Yeah,
as
so
well.
chemistry 115. You also take an English composition class or a public speaking class, and then as well as the first year engineering course. Did you guys take anything else beyond those your first semester? Do you remember?
An econ class,
Econ?
an economic class, but I was just coming fresh out of high school, and that was something that like I just saw that I would be really interested in, and I had it fresh on my mind, so I made the decision to take it.
Yeah.
I did the 0 credit or the 1 credit at the Women Engineering Seminar
Oh, cool.
my freshman year, so that was a really cool opportunity to hear from a lot of cool Purdue Women Engineering alumni.
Nice. So we also had a question like, if you're bringing in a lot of AP credit, how does that look? Did you guys bring in many classes or?
I brought in probably, I'd say like 20 credits of classes. It was a lot.
good.
Yeah.
Nice.
I had a lot of, I had all my AP Englishes credits brought in. I had US history brought in. I had a biology class brought in, AP environmental class. I had an AP statistics class. And some of those classes didn't end up counting towards my curriculum for my chemical engineering degree, but it does count towards your class standing. So I did come in as a sophomore, which was really nice because I got to register as a sophomore. And
Nice.
it's
That's cool.
sometimes you don't even, like you don't have to take those credits to take the classes. Some people choose, like say if you're bringing Calc 1, you've made a 5-4 on the AP exam. You don't have to bring that credit in if you don't want to, and if you just want to retake Calc 1, you can. Or you can continue on to Calc 2.
Yeah, so I was actually, I've talked with a couple families where their students bringing in like almost every single class for first year engineering, Calc 1, Calc 2, physics, chemistry, the other chemistry, English, comm. The only classes you can't really bring in credit for are our 2 first year engineering courses. So you'll still take those, but you'll just work on to the next level of classes. So you're just going to be really, really ahead of a typical plan of study. If you really wanted students, if you're coming in with a whole bunch of credit and you don't want to wait all the way till next fall, you could do early start in the summer, take the first year engineering course, Engineering 131, in the summer, take the second one in the spring, and if you do have all the credits for all the remaining courses and meet all the requirements, you could theoretically start in spring of your freshman year into your desired major. That's very rare, but for those that are coming in with that much credit, it is a possibility. So we don't want the first year engineering program to necessarily be a hindrance to like keep you from graduating early, but it is a great program to give you that time to get all the fundamentals, all the skills of an engineer, but also figure out which major in engineering is right for you, which might not be at all what you expected. We found last year, I think it was like 48% of students ended up choosing a different engineering major than what they had put on their initial application to Purdue. So 17 to choose from, that's a lot to try to know as a high schooler. So we give you that whole year. So it's really, we see the benefit in no matter how many credits you bring in, doing 2 semesters of first year engineering. But we also don't want it to hold you back from getting ahead of your plan of study in that case.
It's also your first year in college too, so it is kind of nice having not a huge course load, just to get familiar with campus and college and join clubs and get involved in campus.
Doing laundry.
Doing laundry,
Figuring out where the food is
Yeah.
that you want, all those fun
sleeping,
things.
that was crucial.
Going to games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Social life, joining
Yeah.
clubs, getting involved in campus.
Fun.
Very, very important your freshman year.
We had another question of, is it difficult to get into those gen ed, those kind of core curriculum classes as a freshman? So if you are bringing credit, because typically our students, those gen ed core requirements that our freshmen are taking are that English class and the communications class. Those are fulfilling those two of those requirements. But if you're coming in with credit for those, I think there's so many to choose from that even as a
Yeah.
freshman, you could probably find one of those courses.
I know for like COM class, COM 114 is what your public speaking class. There's like 10 different ways you can take that. You can take it in a science elective way.
Right.
You can take it in a technical way. You can do a persuasion route, I'm pretty sure. And also like there's just so many different times that class is offered because it is a very big class at Purdue that a lot of students have to take. Not saying you're going to get a great time, but there is going to be a time for you to have. I definitely did have some 730s my freshman year, and it's just the draw of the luck with those.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll get what you need to move forward. In order to be successful and get the classes, but it may not always look exactly the way you would have hoped.
Yeah.
But we'll get you moving forward for
Yeah.
sure with those classes. So
I've been seeing a lot of questions about double majors and minors. I want to get one thing out of the way. Unless you're going to double major with a liberal arts degree, double majoring is very challenging with an engineering degree as one of those two. However, our College of Liberal Arts is offering what they're calling the Degree Plus program, where anyone in a STEM science, so science, technology, engineering, they can actually double major in any of the College of Liberal Arts majors. And they've waived all the secondary liberal arts requirements where all you have to take are the major required courses. So you can be a industrial engineering major and also double majoring in creative writing or public relations. Beyond that, you can maybe double major with a foreign language if you're bringing in credit from high school. Otherwise, double majoring is not really recommended, but minors are extremely common. And those, oftentimes you can, whatever you're looking for to do a double major, you can usually get what you're looking for through doing a minor instead.
Yeah.
Do either of you have a minor?
Yeah.
You both do? So what is it? How did you do it? What does it mean?
Yeah, so I am minoring in management, which is pretty common for a lot of industrial engineers, and then I'm also doing the certificate in entrepreneurship, which is very similar to a minor, credit-wise. And so those worked out really well because one, they're a topic that I'm already interested in, but a lot of my electives for industrial engineering kind of fall in with those, so I can work them into my overall course schedule relatively easily without having to add on a lot of extra coursework. So just it's a lot of very careful planning and working with my advisor to make sure they know what I'm trying to do, and then they can help make sure that I'm getting the right credits for both my major and then for my minors and certificates.
Yeah, so I have a minor actually within the College of Engineering. It's called Innovation and Transformational Change. It's a mouthful.
That's one of the new ones.
It's one of the new ones.
That's Joe's thing.
Yeah,
We
it's
all
really.
call it Joe's.
Yeah, Joe's a cool guy.
Yeah.
I just actually started picking it up my second semester of junior year, so I have plenty of time to get it done, so it's really nice. But I'm learning basically how to look at a whole engineering system and what actually goes into an engineering like problem, how to communicate that, what goes into system design. Like right now for that minor, I'm taking a civil engineering class as a chemie that is very different, but I'm learning all the way like how a system is interacting with each other, the environment and stuff like that. And it also looks at the corporate side of engineering and more of the management and financial side of it too, to see actually if you have a solution, but how do you market that solution and how do you make that solution feasible?
Did either of you do honors for first year engineering?
I did not.
You did not. So we had another question of how does honors plan out? How many honors students are there in engineering and how does that affect the first year program? David, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Typically we have somewhere around 180 to 225 students that come in to the honors program that are part of the engineering college. So
it's about what, 10% of the incoming class?
Yeah, it's about 10% to give you kind of a sense that are coming in into the honors college. You're required to take 24 credit hours of honors or 8 courses roughly, but this isn't on top of the credits that you need. This is integrated into what you're already going to be taking in order to get the degree. So it really focuses on kind of cross-disciplinary interests. So if for those of you who are really interested in honors or have been admitted to the honors program, those should have all gone out on
This past Friday.
This past Friday, yeah. A key component of that is really getting to work across different areas across the university and doing cross-disciplinary research. And if that's something that really gets your motor started and gets you fired up,
gets you going.
then that could be a really great area, because you'll be living with students who are in the College of Pharmacy, who are in liberal arts. You'll be taking opportunities to take some courses. For example, they've taught a natural disasters course in the past, where they bring an engineer that talks about, well, what physically happened during an earthquake, that sort of thing. Then they bring in someone from business, the economics of it. What does that do to a region? They bring in a sociologist that talks about how does that impact people. So there's some cool opportunities that way in doing it, but it really should be something that you're excited about. For the most part, you can get all of those things. You can go global, you can do research.
Take cool classes.
Take cool classes without being in the honors college.
Right.
So there's different ways to track doing those things.
That is the only way to have an honors diploma when you graduate, is to be in the honors college.
Right.
But we also, for all students that are admitted to the honors college that are also in first year engineering, you're automatically going to be what we call a Goss Scholar, which is a program in the College of Engineering specifically. But even if you weren't admitted to the honors college, or if you didn't even apply to the honors college, you can actually apply to the Goss Scholar program through their learning community. It's a revamped program. It's been around for a while, but we just named it the Goss Scholar after kind of the founding father of engineering at Purdue. And it is a different track for first year engineering. So again, it's going to be honors college students as well as the students that apply just to the Goss Scholars. And whereas the honors college is all about kind of cross-disciplinary focus, the Goss Scholars program in engineering is all about kind of a more traditional honors curriculum, in that it's going to be much deeper within the field of engineering. So you're going to take a different version of the first year engineering courses that's going to have more rigorous projects in it. It's the same format of like teamwork, career exploration, all of that, but we're going to incorporate some more things into it, more complex problems to solve, more complex projects, typically some robotics things, some more heavy coding. We also incorporate our physics 172 curriculum directly into that class. So all that to add a little bit extra rigor and depth within the field of engineering. And that's just a first year experience, however, and then afterwards you can be a mentor for other first year students. So it's kind of a 1 year first year program. And so if you didn't join the honors college off the bat, they'll help you kind of reapply as a freshman to start in the honors college later on if you want. But they're totally separate, so you don't have to be worried about, if you don't want to be part of the honors college for whatever reason, you have to worry about kind of being pushed towards that way if you're a Goss Scholar. So again, that's through the learning community, the Goss GOSS Scholar learning community, and that's specifically within the College of Engineering Honors program. Cool. I've got a few questions too about large class sizes, the credit load that you have your freshman year. So what do those look like? What were the sizes of your classes as freshmen? And maybe if you had some larger ones, did they feel that large? Were there ways to help offset that? What was your experiences?
Yeah, so I think your freshman year, you're definitely going to have the biggest classes you'll have all throughout your college career, because as you get into your major and as you get into those more specific classes, they're definitely going to get smaller, more specialized. So you could be in, especially in like your math classes, that type of thing, you could be in classes of 300, which sounds kind of intimidating for a lecture size, but it's really, it's not. It's because you will go to lecture 2 or 3 times a week, but then you'll also typically, for those classes that are really large, you'll have what's called a recitation, which is about a class size of about 20 to 30 students, so a typical class size, where you and a teaching assistant will go through the material more in depth. You'll go over more examples. You'll have more opportunities to ask questions. It's just kind of a more comfortable environment to learn the material. So you kind of gain the core knowledge you need in lecture, and then you can kind of elaborate on that and expand on it in your recitation. Outside of that, Purdue's really good about providing a lot of resources to get help outside of class with those larger classes, with things like supplemental instruction, which is like a weekly review session for a lot of those big classes, especially in engineering. I know there's some tutoring programs across campus. There's a lot of, we have the Academic Success Center. There's a lot of different opportunities and ways that you can get help. You can go to office hours for either your professor or your teaching assistants. There's so many ways
Help
that you can
rooms.
get help rooms, yeah. There's all sorts of ways that you can get additional help for those classes if like the thought of like a big lecture hall really scares you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to make that feel a lot smaller and get the attention that you really might want.
And go to class.
It's
Do you go
very
to
nice.
class?
Do they take attendance in those big classes? Some do,
It
some
depends.
don't.
It depends. Some of them will, some of them
Yeah.
won't.
But it comes through.
It definitely
gotta
helps to
go.
go to class and
Yeah.
pay
You gotta
attention
go.
in class.
Watching the recordings is not the same.
Yeah.
It is not the same. I have tried and it is not the same.
Try focusing on a video recording just at home or at your desk for 50 minutes. You're not going to be able to keep your
You're not
focus that
gonna
long.
The purpose of the
Yeah.
video recording is if you do get lost in lecture, you can go back and review.
It's not to skip.
It's not to supplement the instruction.
And I don't know if you mentioned this, but what are some of the other ways outside of class to get help if you are struggling? Did you talk
Oh,
on
yeah.
that? Sorry, I'm like
Hit
also
a-
answering
hit a
questions
lot
of
here,
it.
but
Yeah, we covered a lot of it.
I also wanted to say your engineering classes aren't going to be that big though. So your two fundamental classes, there's probably around 100, I would say.
120 per section, which
120.
sounds
Usually.
big.
But,
but-
again, you're with a group of 4
Yes.
people, and that's your group for the whole semester.
You live with those
You
four.
live with those 4 people. There's also a professor, and then there's also like, I think around 4 or 5 just not
4
in,
undergraduate
4
TAs.
undergrad or
TAs.
undergrad TAs, and there's a TA specifically assigned to your group, so that is your main contact, which is really nice. And you might be like, oh, I know what group work is like. I do all the work all the time, and no one else puts in the work. Trust me, I was that student in high school. Coming to Purdue, everyone is that student. So, and it's really nice when you get to Purdue and actually be working with your teammates that want to succeed, want to do well, and just having them really committed to their academics too is also really nice. And if that doesn't work, we also peer evaluate each assignment. So you do have the chance to put your little spice on it if you need to.
So, I mean,
What's been your smallest class so far? We've got
Yeah.
the juniors, right?
Mhm.
So what?
Yeah.
In English is typically small,
Yeah,
and as
you're-
you get into upper level engineering classes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, personally for chemical engineering, our class size is around 80 for our like main classes. So right now, last semester for my fluids class, that is like one of the main classes you take your your junior year. It's called a fundamental class. And there was around 80 people, but in that class I had my professor, and then I also had another professor who happened to be department head of chemical engineering, and then I also had 3 graduate TAs that were there as a resource. And it might feel like 80 people, but in your recitation there might max be 20. And again, I had 3 graduate TAs, 2 professors, just teaching that one class. So it was really nice to have those resources and being able to go to all their office hours, email any of them about questions, and it was just really cool to see different teaching styles also.
And it depends on the program you're in and how the teaching
Yeah.
is as well. Most engineering courses, not all, but have labs associated
Yeah.
with them, so you're going to be doing smaller labs. I had a student who was in materials at one point, and they were in a class of 1, and they weren't
Yeah.
very excited about that. That wasn't meant to
scary,
be
yeah.
an independent study. So it can really vary, especially as you get into junior, senior year. I think 34 is the average classroom size, but again, it really depends on what your program is.
Yeah.
So
With Kimmy, we only offer one time, a day for that.
Yeah.
So like everyone that's in that one classroom is graduating with me. So like
Yeah.
just think about that more. Like my class size is only 80 in,
Yeah.
in real reality.
well, and I think materials engineering does that as well. Like so there's just a couple
and
hundred.
biomed does too.
Yeah, there's only like a couple hundred material science engineering students, or I guess it's materials engineering now, but and they take one class all together, sophomore
Yeah.
through seniors take one class together, but it's like a 1-credit seminar just to hear the latest topics in materials engineering. They sometimes bring in an alum, so even though it's a large class, it's not an actual like academic new material sort of class.
Yeah.
Most of their classes are a lot smaller, and it's just their cohort of them with their other sophomores or other juniors.
And you become a pretty tight cohort because
Yeah.
you keep seeing these folks.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
know everyone in Kimmy.
So you
trust
know
me.
80. You probably
Yeah,
know
I know
most of
all
those
them.
80.
Yeah, you
They're
start
very social. I have no problem walking up to a random person asking for help for homework.
Somebody asked, so what's the largest engineering program at Purdue? Our largest school underneath the College of Engineering is the School of Electrical and Computer Engineering. It has around 1,400 students, but that's split up between 2 different majors. There's electrical engineering or computer engineering. You choose one or the other. Our largest single major is mechanical engineering. I believe they have around 1,200
Sounds right.
undergraduate students in the program. And it goes all the way down to nuclear engineering has around 91, I think. Construction engineering and management, half of them work on our office. No, we have 3 students in construction engineering that work in our office out of like 86 total. So it feels like
Yeah.
all of them are in our office.
We also
Multi and interdisciplinary engineering have around 80 some odd students. So it really, there's some larger majors, there's some smaller majors. But I would say no matter which one you go into, you'll have the chance to not only get to know a lot of your classmates in your major, but also get to know your professors and reach out to them and not feel like they're out of touch or out of contact. What's been your experience with like office hours or just interactions with your professors?
Yeah, so I had just last semester, I've never felt super uncomfortable going to a lot of my professors, especially as I've gotten into my major. A lot of the industrial engineering faculty are really cool, really interested in helping out students. I remember I had a class last semester where every single week me and my team were going to our professor's office hours. We were scheduling an appointment to see him every single week, and he encouraged that. Like, he had no problem. He wanted as many students to come into his office as possible.
Nice.
And so there's definitely it's not as intimidating as it might sound at first, because I know freshman year I was like, oh, there's no chance I'm ever going to go into my professor's office hours. That's not for me. I don't even know what I would
Very
ask them.
intimidating.
But my experience has been really great. They're all really willing to help you. They loved that students are showing interest in the material that they're teaching, because usually they're pretty interested in it too, and so they want to talk more about it. They want to see that you're interested in learning more in depth about the material, and so there's really nothing to be too worried about with that.
Yeah, I definitely have really great relationships with my professors. I would say most of my professors know my name by now, because I am an avid fan of office hours, and I'm not afraid. Like, I love going there and just hearing them explain the problem, because they're the one that wrote the problem. So why not just get help from the person that wrote the problem?
Yeah.
And then also, one of the relationships I have with my professor actually turned into research. So I do research with him right now, and that was a really great way for me to get involved in that specific research, is just by first off developing a relationship with my professor, asking questions in class, asking questions in office hours and stuff like that. And they want to learn your name too. Like, they really try to learn people's names and learn faces and stuff like that.
And we have formal ways for you to get research, but informal is more common, which is going to office hours, checking out what faculty are doing, and then talking to them about it. You're right. They usually have a lot to say about their research.
Yeah.
They don't lose words, because they're very excited about it. So know that there's tons of research opportunities on this campus if that's something you have an interest
Studying the cutting edge. You never know what we might be researching at Purdue. I'm shocked every day when we hear stuff.
Yeah, there's cool stuff going on. So, other questions?
We have plenty. That's for sure. Have either of you done epics?
I did not.
No. Interesting. Deb, have you done epics? Oh, okay. So we forgot to introduce, Deb is behind the scenes answering some of your questions through the Office of Future Engineers YouTube account. I'm Ari, I'm the one that's also answering some questions on here. But Deb, you can introduce yourself over chat if you would like, to let you know your major. I'm sorry I forgot you earlier on.
Yeah.
So nobody's done epics. We've got a couple questions about it. Dave, do you want to talk about what epics is and how they get involved?
Epics is super cool. It was started here at Purdue. It's won some national prizes. It's a great way to flex your engineering muscles and getting credit for it while working with you have a customer. And you can do this as early as your freshman year. We have a couple of different tracks to do the first year engineering, which we've already talked about. Epics is one of those. So you could actually start on an Epics team and be working with a community partner, and you're meeting their engineering needs. And it's a win-win, because typically the nonprofit doesn't have maybe the money or the engineering expertise to create and design things to solve their challenges, and we need our students to be creating and solving things. So when you go out and graduate and go on to whether grad school or wherever you go into the workforce, that you're kicking butt and doing awesome, amazing things, which our Purdue alums do. So you're paired up. You can do this throughout your 4 years, so you don't have to do it as a freshman. You can come in throughout your 4 years. Typically, it counts as a technical elective for all the different majors within engineering. and you're working with a team of students and a mentor. Usually it's faculty, or it could be someone from industry. And what's really cool is it's not just engineers. The majority of students are engineers, but we love having liberal artists. We love management majors. We love education majors because we do a lot with elementary school, with teaching. They created a laser harp, which was super cool, that our students to teach kind of physics and different things like that. Well, our engineering students don't know how to really write a lesson plan, right? Like or talk to a third grader. That's not something we cover in our courses. And so it gives you that opportunity, because as an engineer, you'll work on projects where you do budgeting, you do communications. You have to do all those sorts of things, and it's neat. Students have to then kind of go up in front of faculty and their corporate partners. I call it semi-Shark Tank, but not quite, because you have to kind of say, defend why you're doing what you're doing twice a semester, and you get to dress up real nice, and it's a really great opportunity for public speaking. People are usually real nice, and they're going to ask you about why you made the different decisions you did. And so we've got projects with Riley's Children's Hospital. We've done a variety of things with them, which is really cool. We do a lot with like adaptability. One of my favorite projects right now is that we work with Wabash Industries, which are adults with disabilities, and they do like light packaging and things, manufacturing. So we're making tools so they can do things safer. But they like to play cornhole. Now, I don't know how many Midwesterners are out there. Do you guys know what cornhole is?
Bags, bag toss. It's got a few different names.
Corn toss from the South.
And they like to do that on their breaks, but not all of them have the ability to actually toss it themselves. So they went to our students and said, would you make us a cornhole launcher? And I mean, what do you think our engineering students making something launch and fly? They're like, well, yeah. And so that's just one example of the projects. We've also worked with Indiana School for the Blind, and they've done a reverse Braille reader, which they were actually working on a patent for. So it's real world experience, real project. As you see, I get kind of excited about it.
It is really cool.
Because we want students to actually do engineering while you're here. We don't want you to just do all theory and think about it. We want you to do stuff so that you're ready to do stuff when you graduate.
And not only are you doing it, you're helping somebody in a local or global community while you're doing it too, which is also neat. I mean, we have some teams that are working in other countries. We have, I mean, EPICS is an awesome program. We actually work with other universities and even high schools around the country to bring online EPICS programs at their institutions. We don't want this to be something unique to us. This is something that we're really passionate about as a university too, and are helping others to bring online too.
We do it the best.
Yeah, well, because we're the first. Yeah,
and we help teach others in doing it. But you know, engineering is creating things to benefit society, and so you get to see that design helping someone do something they couldn't do before, and that's what you'll do as an engineer. But a lot of times you're so far removed from the end user to say, "Ooh, I love the windows," or whatever it is, you know, or whatever it is. But in this, you get to see a child use a specially designed prosthetic that allows them to play baseball. We had a team do that, and you get to see a young kiddo do that, and it's pretty powerful.
It also offers you that experience your freshman year that a lot of when you're starting to look for internships or research, it really allows you to get your foot in the door with having that type of project-based experience already. And there's tons of different projects going on. I know one of my personal favorites is the ones with Engineering Without Borders, Engineering Without Borders team, and they actually are working with a small town in Bolivia to build and deliver them a water filtration system. And I think that's really cool. And some of them got to go to Bolivia, make it a study abroad, and actually see what's the problem, do some test sightings and all that stuff.
Meet all the people that they're going to be helping. One of the students in our office was actually on that trip, and she's part of that project, which is really cool.
She loves to talk about it. It's really cool. Yeah, it's really cool.
I want to talk about some life-changing stuff. So we've also been getting some questions. I've been answering some of them about choosing your major and like, what does that process look like? Will I get my first choice? How many students do? So, I mean, what was your experience? How did you choose your major? Like, what were the actual logistics of that process?
Were you worried?
Were you worried about that?
Were you stressed about it? Let them
be
know.
honest. Like, honestly, be honest. We're not trying to lead you on.
So I think going into first year engineering and not like knowing what that process looks like 100%, I was a little stressed because I was like, oh, is there like an application process? Oh, what's it going to look like? How competitive is it going to be? But that first semester, again, you spend a lot of time learning about each of the different majors and departments here on campus, and going to different events to learn about the ones you're most interested in. But then the process to choose your major is the simplest thing in the entire world. Your spring semester, you will go and there's a poll and you say, what's your first choice major? And you pick your first choice major, and it asks, what's your second choice major? You pick your second choice. Does it ask for a third choice?
That's it. Nope.
No, and then you just submit. There's no like why you want to do it. There's no like submit all your everything. You just hit 2 questions, which your first and which your second, and then you send it away.
You can also go back and edit it anytime throughout the semester. It's only set in stone at the end of spring semester. So as soon as you fill it out, you can keep going in and changing it.
Yeah, so it's really a very straightforward, not stressful at all process. But as far as people getting into their major, most people do get into their first choice major. I don't remember the exact
It was around
statistic.
91, 92% this last year. It's been above 90% for each of the last several years. I'm the very bottom of the class is the only ones that are having to find different avenues, and even they have options. So the way that it works, the process is very straightforward. And then as far as the eligibility or whatever goes, there's no applications. It's at the base level, as long as you pass all the first year engineering classes, you meet all the requirements, and there's room in the major you want, you're in. That's it. And it was around 11 of our 17 majors accepted everybody that wanted it. 3 of those that didn't accept everyone turned away 1 student each. So the vast majority of our students are getting their first choice. So let's say you want a major like aeronautical engineering, mechanical engineering, biomedical engineering. Every year we'll have more students select, and there are spots in those. Students that have a 3.2 GPA and what we call EAI, Engineering Admissions Index, which basically looks at only the engineering specific courses, none of the general elective classes you take. So if you have a 3.2 GPA and Engineering Admissions Index or higher, those students get priority. I don't know about this past year, but the year before, everyone who had over a 3.2 got their first choice.
They did this
I
year.
think it did again this year as well, so it's kind of like an unofficial sort of guarantee.
Can't
But there
guarantee
also
it.
is a guarantee out there. There's several different criteria. If you want to email our office, we can send you the link to the guarantee requirements. But there is a way to be guaranteed your first choice. I think it was about 63% of students this past year qualified for the guarantee, but 91, 92% got their first choice anyway. So the guarantee isn't usually necessary. But let's say it was full and you somehow didn't get offered your first choice major. You have several options. You can choose a second choice major in engineering that wasn't full. Many students will do that. Or you can stay in first year engineering for 1 or 2 semesters longer to retry again. And it's oftentimes because of grades. So you can stay in first year engineering for 1 more semester, retake the classes you did poorly in, and if you bring your grades up at that point, you might actually be successful that time in getting your first choice. So you can stay in first year engineering for up to 2 more semesters to try again, or we'll also have a very few number of students that will just decide that engineering is not the right fit for them and they'll switch to another major on campus. But we have a 90% first year retention rate, so still 90% of our students are still in engineering their sophomore year that started out as freshmen. So it's a very slim number of students that will even leave the College of Engineering, and most of those that do are still at Purdue. They're not leaving the university entirely. So again, there's a lot of options, and the vast majority of our students are getting what they're looking for. So as long as you're doing well in your courses, you're going to be fine. Our average GPA in first year engineering at the end of the first year was around like a 3.23 or 2.2. So the average student met that priority threshold. So again, we don't want it to be a stressor. We don't want people freaking out about it. Just take care of things in class. Make sure you're getting the help that you need if you're starting to struggle on anything. And you've got, I would say it's pretty darn good odds.
Yeah, the other cool thing is that, and of course, if you're like, I just want to make things fly, I want to be aero, then you can focus on that.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be an aerospace engineer to work in the aerospace industry.
Right.
You could go mechanical, you could go electrical, you could go chemical, you could go
Industrial.
industrial,
Chemical,
you could go, and we have like 5 ways to do environmental engineering on this campus. We have about 5 ways to do biomedical things.
Yeah.
It could be So what's neat is that there are kind of multiple avenues, and a lot of students do. These young ladies didn't switch, but we do see quite a few that do before you even get here, thinking I'm going to want this, and then it's like, well, a lot of folks don't know what materials engineering is.
Right.
Yeah. I had a friend come in thinking she was going to be an astronaut. next thing you know, she's computer engineering. So
I mean, she could still be an
she could still be an
You don't have to be an aeronautical
She
engineer.
realized she has to take a lot more physics than she thought, so she decided to switch. To
Well, and
computer
NASA also
engineering.
hires all
Yeah.
like engineering
Yeah.
and science
Yeah.
majors for astronauts.
She
You don't
just
have to be an
realized-
aeronautical
yeah.
engineer.
Well, I joke because it actually have a higher probability as a chemical engineering getting the NASA co-op than you do as mechanical or aero. Because
Yeah.
every aero wants it and half the MEs, but the chemies are like, really? I want
We're
to go.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, I want to go make things flow.
Yeah, we do a lot of cool stuff.
Well, we had an example of a student that was working in our office for several years. She was very passionate about aerospace industry, but she realized she didn't want to do aeronautical engineering. It just the classes didn't fall in line with what she was passionate about. But she realized she loved industrial engineering because she was all about like processes and that sort of thing. And she now actually works for an aerospace company out in Arizona. So she's able to still work in the aerospace industry within her field of passion, but also work in a more direct role that's more in line with her actual passions and what she wants to do every day for work. So yeah, there's all sorts of different little pathways to still get to where you're wanting to go, and it may not be at all what you were initially thinking. And we have first-year engineering advisors that will help you with that. The professors can help you with that. Your fellow students and upperclassmen are all around. You have so many resources to help you navigate this whole process of what major do I want to go into. Whether or not it was your first choice, I mean, we're here to help you all along that entire way.
And the fact that you've been admitted, you got the stuff. Now your
Yeah, you
stuff
got the
may
stuff.
be a little bit different than other people's stuff, and so that means that you're going to some things are going to be more challenging for you than are challenging for others. But overall, you can do it, and we expect if you come to Purdue, we want you to graduate and get that engineering degree.
Yeah.
You can do it. We
Yeah.
believe in you. You guys are some of the top students across the world, and so we're
For real.
For
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
So we're excited.
Yeah, we also have higher than national average for engineering graduation rates. So we really do want you to be successful. It's not easy. We're not just handing you a degree just willy-nilly. You do need to work for it, but by encouraging the collaborative approach, working with all of your classmates all throughout your entire time as a student, giving you all the support and info, like having that available for you that you need, as long as you take advantage of those things, you can be successful with what
We
you
like
do.
to say it's not if you need help, it's when you need help
Yeah.
in engineering. So you definitely will be going to those office hours and leaning on your fellow classmates for help.
So it is 8:03. You had a meeting. Did you need
Yeah,
to
me
go to a
and
meeting?
Deb can switch.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll bring Deb on the air.
Oh no,
So we'll
bye.
have her switch out.
Any last words of advice? Oh, so yeah.
Any last words? I would like to say, my wisdom is when you're selecting a college, you got into the school, but you need to see, can you see yourself living here for 4 years?
Yeah.
Because college is not all about academics. It's gonna be your social life, the friends you make for the rest of your life, and you just need to see if you can actually feel like at home on this campus, because you are spending 4 years, and you don't want to be the person that's just doing homework all the time. You want to be experiencing social life and meeting new people and doing new things. And trust me, I do a lot of that stuff, and I still have plenty of time to study. And it's just, I make it one of my priorities of being involved on campus, I guess. I think that's a good
Nice.
way to read
So
it.
we're
Pass
gonna
out.
we're gonna switch out and have Deb come on, so we can have her show off her face and provide her advice.
She's been
Come on out,
working
Deb.
hard.
She's been working hard in the background answering your
That's
questions.
right.
Cool. Thank you. Hi everyone, this is what I look like.
All right. So go ahead, and if you want to introduce yourself again, now you're on screen.
Yeah, so I'm Deb. I'm a senior in biological engineering. I spent a semester abroad in Ireland. I've done research for 6 months, and I'm doing a minor as well, and I've already got a full-time offer after college, so I'm very excited.
Yay! That's
I
exciting.
don't know if I knew that.
But you're still
Did you know
interviewing,
that?
right?
I
Oh,
don't
is that
know.
a secret?
When did that happen?
Like last week, actually.
Oh, awesome. Cool.
And you have potential other offers on the way,
Yes,
maybe.
and then
You're still
final
interviewing.
round interviews this week and next week.
Oh
so
man.
busy,
So,
busy.
very exciting. So kind of on the note of that, can we talk about internships and co-ops? What all have you guys done in your times as students?
Yeah, so I had my first internship last summer as a manufacturing intern with CSL Beering. And I got that opportunity through one of the many career fairs that Purdue offers. Just touching on those real quick, the difference between like an internship and a co-op, some of you guys were wondering. An internship is a one-term thing, and a co-op is where you're signing on with a company to do a rotation where you will go to school for a semester, work for a semester, go to school for a semester, and so on. So it can extend your graduation, but you're getting paid a decent amount of money, and you're still only paying for 4 years of college. So it's good.
Yeah.
How about you?
So I've done a couple different internships. My first internship was at a really small manufacturing company in my hometown. And then last summer I got to move to Grand Rapids, Michigan, and work for Meijer. It's a grocery retailer, for their supply chain in their headquarters. And then next summer I'll be moving to Texas and working for American Airlines in their airports, which I'm really excited about.
That'd be cool.
So that'll be really fun. I also got 2 of those 3 internships from our career fairs. I have to plug the career fairs here. I am in the organization that organizes the largest student-run career fair in the country. It's called Industrial Roundtable, and it happens every September. And it is literally 400 companies coming to Purdue's campus because they want Purdue engineers. And they're looking for full-time students, they're looking for internships, they're looking for co-ops. They want all the students, all the majors. They're recruiting everybody. And so it's a really cool opportunity. Even after the career fair happens, some of them will interview right that week. There's also smaller career fairs that happen. We also do a winter career fair that's a little bit smaller, but still 200 companies coming. The majors might have their own career fairs. A lot of organizations will host networking nights. There is all sorts of industry all over this campus that getting an internship or a co-op is very, very feasible, and Purdue has a lot of different resources that you can kind of help sell yourself in the best way possible, like getting your resume reviewed, tips for those interviews, mock interviews. There's so many resources here to help you get whatever your dream job really is.
So since you're one of the organizers, can you talk about some of the companies you've seen? I know 400, it's just so few to choose from, but I mean, because we actually had somebody was asking like what companies are recruiting here, but.
Yeah, so we'll have a lot of the big names, so like Boeing, Microsoft, we've got Google, we've had Tesla in the past, a lot of those big names. Not everyone's looking for a big company, we have smaller companies too. There's a lot of startups that will come. I know there's even a startup career fair now that they host every year. So we've got big companies, we've got small companies, we've got ag companies. Really, whatever you're looking for, they are here.
We like to joke, name a company, and they've probably recruited here.
They've probably been here at a
not
career
far off.
fair. Yeah, there's a lot of them here.
I think there's over 1,700 unique companies visited last year to recruit from our campus.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any other major ones.
And then we have GE has an actual plant
Yeah.
here in Lafayette, and they came here because of Purdue and engineering. Rolls-Royce Jet Engine has a research plant here, or a research facility here. So there's a lot of our faculty also have connections with industry, which also helps students kind of make those connections.
There's another engineering firms like Schweitzer Engineering or something like that's building a facility out here. Saab Aerospace is building a jet fighter trainer, like the actual trainer fighter jets that you learn on first. They're going to build those out here because Purdue's here. So it's just
Lily's here a lot. John Deere. It seems like John Deere is just here
all the time. There's tractors all over the place all the time. all the automakers, Ford, GM.
The big, is it 3 now? The big 3.
Fiat, Chrysler Automotive, or FCA, GM, Ford.
But a lot of growth is in those startups, and that's what's cool.
And the smaller companies. You can often have cooler positions with some of these smaller, often overlooked companies because with fewer staff, you have more of an impact in that company and more role that you can have. And those companies are usually begging students to apply to that. It's not you begging the companies for the job. It's they're begging you to apply because they're often overlooked. They're not one of the big names that everybody's trying to wait in line for. So there's all sorts of really awesome opportunities. Regardless of which major you're in, regardless of where you want to work, they're all over the country, these opportunities. We even have some opportunities for some international internships if you want to go that route too. Through our Office of Professional Practice, who runs our co-op program. They also have a program called GEAR, which is all about global engineering practice, going and working in engineering roles in other countries. We've had students go to Germany, to China, to Brazil. Italy I can think of. So all sorts of different opportunities for that as well. So some really cool things with that too.
And not all companies will come here, not everyone, but
right.
you'll post your resume through our Center for Career Opportunities. And so for some of those smaller startups, sometimes, they'll just review and you may get called up and not expect it to get pinged by different companies.
Yeah.
And so, so know that we've got that reach beyond just the fairs, but boy,
The fairs are big too. That's one of the best
Industry
ways
comes
to
here.
get right in front of them and press them in person.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of necessarily requirements. It depends on the companies. We've got a question about what kind of requirements are there. The co-op program has GPA requirements, just minimums to be part of the co-op program, and then apply for co-op positions. And I think it's like a 2.8, I think, or something like that. It's not a very high bar. For the internships, it's mostly just the companies. So for the career fairs, they usually list what classifications of students are they hiring, sophomores, juniors, seniors, what majors are they hiring, what visa types are they able to hire. So you're going to know all of that pretty well up front before you even get to the career fair to see what employers can I talk to knowing that I have a shot of getting a job with them. So the requirements really vary. They're usually pretty lowest. Some have very hard GPA requirements. Others don't. The smart ones don't. Because GPA isn't really a good factor of determining if you're going to be a good employee or not, but it's an easy way to help limit apps. But yeah, all that'll be very upfront too, through the job postings or through the career fair listings. You'll be able to see who you would have a shot at before you waste your time or theirs by talking to this company that's not going to hire you because they only hire sophomores or something. Let's see, what else? Let's talk a little about student life. We've kind of alluded to that a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not all just academics and work, I promise, in college. So did either of you do learning communities your freshman year? No? Okay, we had a question about learning communities. David, do you want to talk about learning communities and what they are?
Sure.
Okay.
Learning communities, this is an opportunity. Typically, you're around in either an academic area or an interest area, and you're paired up and living together and taking courses together. So it's kind of a forced get to know you in some ways, but in a good way. We are a big campus. I mean, there's 42,000 students on campus if you add grad students. But yet we're kind of compact but not crowded, and so you'll see people, it feels real small, which is really cool. But this is a way to kind of get to know some students and fellow classes really quick. It'll be quick because you'll do activities outside of class, you'll do activities in class, and there's just a wide variety. I mean, the university bands has a learning community, so that's
They have a new building on the way.
new building, so that's even not even an academic. We have the EPICS learning community. We talked about EPICS. We also have something called, I won't go through all of them. I think there's about 12-ish that engineers are eligible to, but a VIP, which is vertically integrated projects where you could actually be doing research as a freshman, working with a faculty member. The honors, as we had talked about, that they're going to live together, the Goss Scholars. So there's a variety. Go check those out because you'll just see, if you're into data science, there's a couple different ways you can do a data science learning community.
Yep.
So variety of ways of doing it. Most of the students that do it tend to really like it because they like, again, early on getting to know students well.
With similar interests.
But similar interests, similar classes. But on the flip side, you don't have to do a learning community to be successful. I think if you're a little more gregarious or you're,
Can you define gregarious?
a little more outgoing,
Okay.
then you'll know people. I mean, you can't get away from peeps if you're living in the residence halls and stuff like that. So did you guys find it difficult to get to know folks did you live in the res halls?
Yeah, I lived in a res hall and I did BGR actually.
Oh,
That's
nice,
where
yeah.
I made
Boiler
most
Gold
of
Rush.
my friends. So yeah, Boiler Gold Rush is Purdue's orientation week, the week before classes start for freshmen. How many? Roughly 2,900 or something.
It's the
For what?
the
Boiler Gold Rush.
I think it's
It's
bigger
like
than
it's
that.
like
It's
90,
5,000.
95% of incoming freshmen
like
will do
really-
it's
BGR.
like 5,000.
Yeah, so that's definitely where you
The
meet a
greatest
lot of
week ever,
people.
isn't it called that?
Yes, it is. You learn to dance with your whole class. It's super fun, but that's definitely where I met most of my friends, and I think I am more of one of those outgoing people, so I met a lot of people there. But in my dorm, I lived in Owen, random placement. I lived in Owen Hall, and we actually had our RA set up like study groups on our floor. So it turns out like half of the girls were also in engineering, and we just wrote like what classes we were in and what shared classes we had, and we like got together and studied. So that was a really good way to meet people as well without being in a learning community.
Yeah, because not everyone may want to live with all engineers, or you might want to. Maybe you want to diversify. We do have the Women in Engineering Learning Community as well, and so that's mainly just a living. And they bring tutoring out. I think as many boys go to that tutoring sometimes and all that sort of thing. So,
do you know how many people get accepted into learning communities? That was a question I kept getting, and I do not know.
I don't know.
I want to say, I'm a little dangerous, but I want to say it's close to half of our students are in learning communities.
Okay.
I mean, it keeps growing, the number. So don't quote. I know it's going to be on tape for life, forever. Okay, take that back. But I want to say, I mean, I want to say, yeah.
I don't even know a rough number to even be willing to give a number, but I just know we've been increasing the number.
It's over 1,000, I think, and we'll bring in 20. If we bring in 2,200 students, not sure you can. So we are in an active learning building right now.
Yes, we are.
As well as other things.
It's maintenance, yeah. So being out in student buildings, they're always active, even at 8:15 in the evening.
Yeah, there's always stuff going on.
always
So
stuff
again,
going
I want to say close to half of the incoming freshmen.
Well, and I think their goal is they want to be able to accommodate like half the incoming freshmen, if not more than that. And then over the next year, by continuing to expand the learning communities, and their ultimate goal might be to be like the vast majority of students. Anybody that wants to be at some point might be able to house them in one. It's definitely a big focus for our residential communities is to expand those learning community opportunities for those that want to be in them.
But you'll do activities through your res hall no matter where you live, and there's always seems to be pizza floating around and other activities and things like that. So, what about for fun? I mean, you know,
speaking of pizza,
West
one
Lafayette
of
is
the
happening.
many organizations that we have at Purdue is Free Food Club.
Oh,
Oh,
so
yes.
It's like a giant group chat of all these people. You can, and like anytime there's free food on campus, they'll put it in the group chat. You can just go and get free food. But
are you on that?
no,
Okay.
I need to be.
My question was always, is that on your resume? You know, the students that are in that.
That would
the
probably
free
be a very
food.
interesting conversation starter.
Yeah,
on a resume.
because you're industrious, but it's like so
creative.
students swoop in to all the other student orgs when there's leftover food.
Yeah.
Is what that is, and so all of a sudden,
Other organizations that we have on campus, we have over 1,000, like I said. I'm involved in like a professional one and a fun one. So my professional one's the Purdue Society of Professional Engineers. We have big like networking nights. We are in close contact with the recruiter with Fiat Chrysler, so they're here all the time. We do resume workshops, and we also host events for high school students and middle schoolers as well, called like Math Counts, if anyone's ever done Math Counts. We help host that in Indiana. And then my fun club, I have a couple fun clubs. Hammocking Club.
I knew that was
Hammocking
coming
Club.
up.
We're big at hammocking.
She loves
here at
hammocking.
Purdue. But we recommend like a fun one and a professional one, just so you can get the best of both worlds. What about you?
So I have made some of my nearest and dearest friends through the organizations that I'm involved in, specifically the Engineering Student Council. There's 40 of us, and we are all like one big family. And so I do a lot of professional work with them, but then we have a lot of fun outside of the professional work that we're doing. So those are some of my best friends. We all like live together, we all hang out all the time. Outside of that, I'm also involved in I play intramurals, so that's kind of a fun thing to do. Anyone can play intramurals. You don't have to be good at a sport. God knows I am not. We didn't win a single one on a team that I played on this past semester.
You're not being recruited too
I'm not
heavily.
being recruited, but I'm having a really good time. So I play intramurals or spend a lot of time at the co-rec. There's always something happening on this campus. There's always someone coming to perform a concert. There's comedy shows. Random events with free food, free stuff to do, bounce houses, you name it, there's something happening on any given day. There's a lot of bounce houses around. But outside of that, I'm trying to think.
What about West Lafayette? Someone asked if West Lafayette is boring.
See, I thought I was really nervous going to West Lafayette, Indiana, because I grew up in Indiana, and I was like, this can't be much different than the Indiana I know. And now I never want to leave. Like, I never want to leave campus because there's always something happening where I'm like, I need to be here for this. So, like, last weekend, me and all my friends went to a concert that was here on campus, or there was a comedy show last weekend, or one of my friends are just like, oh, you guys want to have, like, board game night? I'm like, yeah, I want to have board game night. So it really depends on that community that you build here, because there's a lot to do if you find like the right people to kind of do it with, I guess.
And it's a very global community and a very diverse, and so there's all sorts of cool cultural things.
Yeah, there's a
great
lot of cool
food
festivals
to try and people to meet and festivals, and we've got our different centers like the Latino Cultural Center and that bring in, I mean, just all sorts of stuff going on. So it doesn't, I love Indiana, but it doesn't feel like
the rest of Indiana.
Yeah.
No. It's really fun. I really love it here, because that was one of my biggest concerns coming into college, was like, what am I going to do? And now it's like, I have so much I want to do. I don't have enough time to do all the things I want to do. So it's really a fun area.
And Indianapolis is just an hour away. Chicago's like 2 to 5, depending on traffic. But honestly, like Emily said, a lot of our students don't road trip all that much, because our hope is that you're so engaged with what's going on campus that you've got so much going on. Not that those aren't fun things to do on a weekend now and again, or breaks.
Yeah.
Cincinnati's close, Louisville's close. I mean, there's a lot of really kind of fun stuff.
One of the PSEF kids, so PSEF is Purdue Student Engineering Foundation, one of the student orgs we work at, and he was telling a story one time of he and his buddies, they really wanted like good barbecue. And there's a really great place in Lafayette, but they didn't want to settle for that. They actually road tripped all the way down to Louisville
Oh my gosh.
to get barbecue on like a Friday or a Saturday, and then came back, because it's only like 3.5-ish hours away. So nice for a short little weekend trip, or a little jaunt down for some barbecue and come back. Somebody was asking about good food options.
Like, cool outdoorsy things as well, where you can hammock. Like the Indiana Dunes is really close to us, or even the dunes in Michigan that's only like just over an hour away. Turkey Run is down south, like by 45 minutes or something, so nice camping spot for all you outdoorsy folks.
And we do our trail along the Wabash. I don't know if you guys have done like the full 9 miles that you can do.
No, definitely.
I think we need to do that as an OFE, see Office of Future Engineers, so we can do that. So there are some things around here that you can do as well, with hiking and outdoors, and tons of people playing soccer. And I mean, it's just, there's a lot.
There's no shortage. You'll never be bored between that and homework.
So they were asking about like great food places. Is there Japanese restaurants nearby? We have students from all around the world, so we have restaurants with food from all around the world nearby. There's some Mediterranean places. There's Japanese, Korean, Chinese places. There's just all sorts of really great like culinary options around campus, but also in our dining courts. They have foods from all around the world that we'll serve too. May not be quite as authentic as some of the restaurants nearby, but pretty darn good job.
The Mongolian barbecue station at Earhart is my favorite.
Oh yeah.
So because
stir fry.
You get to do all the stir fry, and which is really.
There's themes too, like for Chinese New Year, they have a big like little party.
We'll have a Thanksgiving dinner on the Thursday before Thanksgiving, and everybody from all across campus waits in line to get the dining
I've
courts
never
on
seen
that
before
day.
in line at the dining courts on Thanksgiving dinner day.
There's one of the stations in Windsor Dining Court that will feature like a different country every day at one of their stations. Ford has a wok station. So there's all sorts of really cool things in the dining courts, but also in restaurants around the community. For that, I found a really delicious Korean place that's very close to authentic what I've had over in Korea. And it's called Kimchi. It's out by the Walmart over in West Lafayette. So not super close to campus, but within driving distance.
Nine Irish is
Nine Irish. I mentioned that in the chat.
Nine
Irish is a good one.
That's one of my favorites.
Because so they're like, besides Triple X, which is good to go to, it's a Purdue tradition. It's a great diner. And I forget the other one they mentioned. Bruno's. That was the other one they mentioned.
Bruno.
What are some other good ones? So Nine Irish. They're all in the same area. Nine Irish Brothers is really great for Irish food. We had a question about cars on campus, and I don't like leaving the answer that I gave of like freshmen can't have cars. I want to give some more context around that. do you guys have cars? If so, when did you have them on campus? So freshmen can't have cars if you're living on campus because there's just not enough space. But was that a hindrance? How did you feel about having a car or not?
So I'm a junior and I still don't have a car on campus. I have never felt the need to have a car because everything on campus is walking distance. So I'm never on campus where I needed to drive somewhere. If it's really cold outside, there's a campus loop that goes around on the bus and you can hop on that. It comes super frequently. The only time I really need to drive is to get groceries. And there's a bus that goes to Walmart, there's a bus that goes to the grocery store, or chances are one of your friends has a car and you just make friends with cars and then you bug them to bring you to the grocery store if you're me. But no, I've gone 3 years without having a car here and it has never once been super inconvenient. I haven't been like, wow, I wish I had a car. I don't think it's a big issue. I knew I was kind of concerned about it going into college. I was like, oh my gosh, like what am I gonna do? I drive everywhere, but there's not really a need to drive it, especially your freshman year when you're eating a lot in the dining course, living in the res halls. There's just not a whole lot. You would absolutely just really need a car.
It's a luxury, not a necessity. I didn't have it until my senior year, so I'm a Purdue alum. I didn't really mention that. David is as well.
Yeah.
I never had a car until my senior year. It wasn't that long ago that I was here as a student.
I can't say that.
And honestly, when I finally got one, it was actually just more of a pain because trying to find a parking spot all the time. I would actually just leave my car there, and I would only drive it if I absolutely had to because I would know when I came back that spot would not be there anymore. So with the bus system and all that, I did clarify in the comments too, if you're living off campus as a freshman, you can have a car as long as your apartment complex or wherever you're living allows it. And then if you're a certain distance from campus, you can get what's called a C parking permit, which allows you to park on the outskirts of campus. So you're closer and it's somewhere near a bus stop, or if you have a bike, you can like bike around because we're a very physically compact campus. So parking on the edge of campus may sound like it's still a long ways away. It's really not. No. So there are ways, if you're not living on campus, you can have a car your freshman year. But if you're living in the residence halls on campus, you cannot have a car on campus for your freshman year. You can sophomore year if you really, really want one. But that's where you make friends that have cars. That's what those friends are for.
Yes.
More than just because they have a car. But certainly one of the perks.
It depends.
So it's 8:30 already.
Oh
Holy cow.
Gosh.
There are still so many questions. Thank you all for tuning in and sending all these great questions. So we're going to kind of have a little wrap-up question because I promised everyone we'd be done at 8:30. So I don't want to hold them too long, as well as y'all. So we'll have a little wrap-up question, but then any other questions you guys have, feel free to send them to us by email. Our email address is future-engineers@purdue.edu. I'm going to put it in the chat too so you can see it. But future-engineers@purdue.edu. We're happy to help. Deb and Emily are just a few of the several dozen or so students that work in our office Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. They're all undergraduate engineering students. And it's usually going to be them answering our emails. You can call us anytime. 765-494-3975 is our phone number. I can put that in the chat as well. So I know we didn't get to all the questions. It feels like we got to barely any with as many as came in. But please continue sending them in our way through email, through phones. We'll also have several more of these live broadcasts over the coming months. It's about every other week, I believe, is the way I've got it structured. Each one will have a specific topic. So the next one that we're going to be doing is going to focus on the experiences our students can have outside of class, like internships and co-ops and study abroad. But we'll take questions on anything, but that's what we're going to kind of open that broadcast with. We'll also have ones about living on campus. We'll have ones about the different majors and how the classes are. So stay tuned. We'll send out email invites for all of those for the coming weeks. So there will be plenty more opportunities to ask us questions that you guys have. But to wrap it all up, I want to ask my two students, and are you still back there? Elizabeth can also chime in as well. I want our students to say, why did you choose Purdue? What was it that you picked, and what do you wish you knew coming into Purdue that you would like to impart to our viewers tonight?
I'll start.
Very softball questions here.
So I chose Purdue. I think I actually already told someone about this in the chat, but the biggest reason I chose Purdue was because of the professional development that they push on students, or the resources that they have available to students to like better themselves in that regard. Because when you're a freshman and you're going to Industrial Roundtable, like within the first 3 weeks of school as a freshman, there's that giant career fair, and walking up as like scared little freshman with your like high school experience in a resume is so intimidating. And I've come so far, and I feel like I really have Purdue to thank for that, because Emily kind of touched on it, but we have the Career Center for Opportunities, and they have like resume reviews, mock interviews. They even have a wardrobe where you can like borrow clothes, or I think you get to keep them actually, which is really nice. But I think that was the biggest challenge for me coming into Purdue was, I don't know, I didn't feel like I wasn't professional, and then Purdue helped me become professional, and so here I am today. So that's why I chose Purdue, because of those resources that they had available to me. What I wish I knew, wow, that's a great question. You answer the next one and I'll think.
Okay, so I chose Purdue. I initially actually didn't ever want to go to Purdue. I live an hour away from it, and I was like, I'm never going to go there. Everyone goes there from my school. Like, I don't want to stay in Indiana. I want to get far, far away. But the more I visited it, because I did visit it quite a few times, I realized it had everything I wanted in a school, because I wanted a big school that would give me a lot of those like fun college experiences, like going to the basketball games, going to the football games, having a big like diversity in like majors and people here. I wanted that experience, but then I also wanted a top engineering program, which Purdue had both of those things for me. It just kind of took me a little bit to realize that. So one of the things I wish I had known before going into college is, one, don't like underestimate the college that's in your backyard. A lot of people find themselves there. I know I did, but also just I definitely didn't understand quite how many opportunities Purdue had for like professional growth and just like personal growth, because it's really not just getting my degree, it's getting a lot of experiences I didn't even know I needed. So through my organizations and through the people I've met and through like the networking and all of that, I didn't realize how many of those opportunities there would be here, and so it's been a really excellent experience.
Yeah, so along those lines, I wish I had known about all those resources, especially academically. You guys touched on some of them a little bit, like office hours. Go to the supplemental instructions. You guys can play Kahoot. Still really fun, but you still get to like learn about the material and like kind of review game style. And it's not like a sign of weakness or whatever if you're going to these things. I think a lot of students think, well, I think I understand the material, so I don't need to go. But the students that go are the ones that are getting A's. And so take advantage of all of our resources that we have, especially the free ones.
David, any advice you want to impart from your perspective as our director and just as an alum and just someone who's been in college recruiting for a while that you want to impart on the students as they're looking at colleges or getting ready to go to college? Any advice?
I mean, this is probably semi-obvious, but if you get a chance, if you haven't visited yet, Emily talked about it, but there's no substitute to being on campus and kind of getting a sense. And if you have an opportunity to get back to your top 2 or 3 more than once, if it maybe not always feasible, but I really encourage you to do that, because as we've talked, it is somewhere where you're going to be for 4 years. And so we want, you know, I've seen it for years. I've been in here at Purdue for close to, well, it's 19 years now. And one of the favorite parts of my job is getting to see students do things that they didn't even imagine they could do. It just, it's amazing to have those kind of opportunities. So I know you're admitted here, you can be successful here, but it really needs to, we want it to be your number one choice, because we want you to get here and engage. So wherever you go, we want you, whether it's here or somewhere else, we want you to do it 100%, and an engineering degree is going to need you to do that. And so look at those things, but please don't stop asking us questions. Our goal is to try and help you have the information you need to make that decision. And we'd love it to be here, but we really, if it's another choice where you're going to, you know, do amazing things, then that's okay too.
As cliche as it is, we're happy when you're happy.
Exactly.
And I would just say, know that wherever you go, you can be successful. It may not be where you expected. And wherever you end up, I started out in one major, ended up in an entirely different major by the time I graduated. You never know how life will pan out, but I'm in a great career. I love the people I work with. I love what I do. Give me a raise. But you can be successful wherever you go. And you will also struggle along the way. You're going to have some C's, you're going to have some F's, you're going to fail some things, and that's part of it. You grow from that, you learn from that, and it's okay. We all do. We all have classes that we struggle in, we'll have assignments that we'll just not do well on. And the key is that you pick yourself up from that and you learn from it. You learn, all right, that didn't go well. How's another way I can approach this? Who can I reach out to help me out of the way? Because you're not the only one, and you won't be the only one. So just know that, to succeed, you have to fail along the way. And that's part of the process. And engineering's tough, but it's definitely doable.
And that doesn't end after you graduate.
Right.
That's life.
And we can get on a whole
We're getting really
other
deep.
theology.
Students over here are going,
and then Elizabeth threw in her reasons of picking Purdue too on the chat. So if you missed anything, you want to rewatch anything, we'll have the replay of this broadcast available on our channel by the end of the week, if not sooner. We'll also, in the description of the video, we'll have little timestamps of what topics were talked about at different times, so you can kind of skip around the video, not have to watch through a whole hour and 45 minutes again if you don't want to. So be on the lookout for that, as well as all the invites for future broadcasts. Thanks again for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Congratulations again on your admission to Purdue Engineering. It is a feat. It is a true accomplishment, and really reflective of you as a student, or your students if you're parents. So thanks again. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time. See you, everyone.
Thanks. Boiler up.